Okay, now kita dah tahu dah definition semangat keusahawanan ataupun entrepreneurial spirit. That you have to have what you put in your mind, what you put in your heart. Okay, how you tackle whatever challenge comes in. So that is entrepreneurial spirit. Tetapi bagaimanakah untuk develop entrepreneurial spirit ni? Ada orang tanya kat saya, yes, semua tu teori belaka Prof, tapi praktikalnya macam mana? How should I develop the entrepreneurial spirit in me? Okay, ini pun sedikit nasihat daripada beberapa pakar lah. Okay, let's look at how are we going to develop our entrepreneurial spirit. Okay, next, Sandy. Sandy? Okay. So, entrepreneurial spirit ni can be developed menggunakan apa yang dipanggil sebagai 6 P's. So, kalau you baca buku daripada Cole, saya tak ingat dah, saya ni memang nama payah sungguh nak ingat. But anyway, 6 P's ni is coming from ramai motivator from entrepreneurship yang mengatakan kalau kita nak develop our entrepreneurship spirit, first of all you must have passion in whatever you do. Kalau tak suka pun, kalau terpaksa, create lah something that make you like it, make you love it. Kalau you tak ada passion, you don't love what you are doing, you cannot go far from there. Okay, so passion mesti di-create awal-awal. Saya ingat, I know nothing about entrepreneurship. What I learned is about how to invest money, what I learned is how to manage money. Suddenly I have to go into entrepreneurship when I join UMK, tapi pada awalnya tak suka, lama-lama jadi jatuh cinta. So because otak kita dan hati kita sebenarnya yang kontrol kita. So how you make yourself passion into it is depending on yourself. Yang kedua, bila dah ada passion, kena ada direction. Passion sahaja tak cukup kalau kita tak ada pathway. So, how to bring the direction towards what you are aiming? Apa matlamat kita sebenarnya? Bila kita buat sesuatu, kena ada matlamat. Tak ada matlamat, maka hidup kita tak akan sampai ke tahap yang kita inginkan. So you have to plan your direction. Do planning, short-term planning, medium-term planning, long-term planning. Tapi kena ingat, planning ni kita hanya merancang. Planning ni is just rancangan dan Allah yang menentukan. So, but still planning is important. But you have to make sure that kalau planning tu tak jadi, you should be able to twist so that you still boleh tuju apa yang kita nak tuju. Dan in whatever way, be optimist, be positive. Gagal tu tidak semestinya kita gagal, tetapi mungkin itu adalah satu ujian. Macam hari ni kita ada COVID-19, ada orang yang boleh take advantage of COVID-19. Walaupun ada juga yang sengsara because of COVID-19. Yang can take advantage tu sebab dia twist dia punya mindset very fast to take opportunity and to take challenge of change. Tapi yang sengsara tu mungkin slow sikit in terms of thinking how to twist into something beneficial. Okay, so be positive. Orang yang ada semangat keusahawanan biasanya ada positive thinking. And the most important thing, hidup kita ni is not in isolation. We need people. We need mentor. We need loved one. Kalaupun kita tak ada orang yang mencintai kita, ada kucing pun cukup dah lah untuk menemani kita. Sekurang-kurangnya, itu adalah makhluk Allah yang bersama-sama kita untuk kita bercakap jika kita ada satu kerusingan dan sebagainya. So, mengikut pakar untuk develop entrepreneurial spirit, people around us is very important. Kalau nak jadi bosia katanya, kawanlah dengan orang bosia. Kalau nak jadi mak rempit pun, kawanlah dengan orang mak rempit. Tapi kalau nak jadi orang yang seperti yang kita inginkan, carilah kawan, carilah mentor, carilah orang-orang sekeliling kita yang boleh memberi support kepada kita. So, kalau adalah orang yang memperli ke atau memperlekehkan kita, put it aside, forget it. So jadikan dia satu cabaran, bukan satu penghinaan. Okay, so people is very important, and some says that in order to gain entrepreneur spirit, kita sentiasa cuba mencari jalan bagaimana kita untuk menyenangi orang yang kita cintai. Do something that not only us love to do, but also our loved one also love what we do. And the fifth one is perseverance. Ada passion, ada direction, tapi malah tak ada apa-apa tindakan. Tak kerja secukupnya, sekerasnya untuk mencapai apa yang diperlukan. So it won't achieve what you want. So perseverance, which is hard work, is very important. And of course, you have to measure. You should be able to measure the productivity. And the productivity too is how you manage your time, how you balance whatever you want to achieve dengan apa yang, because kita ni sebenarnya manusia nak macam-macam, tapi masa ada 24 jam aja. So how you manage your time, and you should know when to say yes or when to say no. Ini kadang-kadang ada yang kita ni sentiasa begeh, yes, tapi sampai masa tak siap. Ada hak sama no, tak ada benda hak yes bagi dia. Everything is always negative, nothing can be done, everything is always if. Itu pun masalah. So that means to be productive, you must know how to manage your time, and you should be able to see which one is yes for you to proceed, which one you should say no, this is not profitable or productive for us or for me to continue. Okay. So that is about develop entrepreneur spirit. Tapi macam mana nak boost? Saya tahu semua orang kat sini kalau tak akan masuk lah kan this channel. Mesti dah ada entrepreneur spirit. Saya tahu banyak usahawan-usahawan yang bawah ISMI, UMKEI, semua dah ada dia punya perancangan sendiri. In fact, tak tahu ada ke tak rakan-rakan usahawan yang bawah EI sekarang ni yang buat sarung tangan pun dah berubah jadi buat jual makanan. Sarung tangan dah diletakkan di bawah online business. So that is something I think we should be proud of, that you have think of something relevant to the current scenario. Tetapi besides all this passion, path, positivity, people, perseverance, and productivity, kita kena boostkan lagi entrepreneur spirit kita supaya kita boleh menerima hakikat apabila bencana melanda seperti ini. Apabila ada bala lah kononnya. That we have to make things that Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala adalah yang mengaturkan semuanya. So ini adalah saya punya, okay, yang boosting entrepreneur spirit is actually my thought, my thought. Maybe ada rakan-rakan yang ada idea-idea lain ataupun mungkin ada yang mungkin tak ada kaitan. Tapi for me, if you have these 6 piece plus dengan 6 elements, which is surrender to Allah, which is berserahlah kepada Allah. InsyaAllah usaha akan Allah, setiap usaha yang kita buat akan Allah bagi ganjarannya. Yang kedua, sentiasa mimpikan benda-benda yang indah-indah, yang besar-besar, yang kejayaan sentiasa. Because dalam laser otak kita ni, what your brain thinks is where your energy goes. So whatever you dream, if you dream negatively, you fikir, alah jatuh tangga dah laku hari ni, besok contohnya. Entah-entah jatuh tangga sungguh. So kalau you dream something big, something good, so your energy will work hard to achieve that dream. So dream bigger. Dream something that you know you can achieve. Believe in yourself. And live happier. Kadang-kadang kita ni sebenarnya yang meletakkan sama ada kita happy ataupun sebaliknya. Kalau kita sentiasa happy, kita akan sentiasa fikir positif dan kita akan sentiasa fikir kita boleh capai apa yang kita ingin capaikan. And the fourth one is be lovable. Dekatkan diri kita dengan orang. Jadilah seorang yang peramah, sentiasa ingin membantu apabila rakan-rakan dalam kesusahan, supaya orang sentiasa jatuh cinta dengan kita. Bukan jatuh cinta dengan kita nak bergewer ke nak kahwin dengan kita, no. Like when you fall in love with cats, for example. When you fall in love with flowers. When you fall in love with pemandangan-pemandangan yang cantik. Bolehkah kalau kita jadikan orang untuk fall in love dengan kita yang sedemikian? So, bila orang susah kita tolong, apatah lagi bila kita susah, akan sentiasa orang datang menolong kita. So, be lovable. So, if you be lovable dalam keadaan yang sekarang ni, COVID-19 ni, akan ada sentiasa orang tolong kita, tak pandai nak guna online, ada orang tolong bantu, tak boleh nak distribute barang, tak boleh nak deliver, ada orang nak bantu. Why? Because you are livable. Orang tak sampai hati nak say no to you. So that will also give you semangat yang lebih bila ada ramai yang support kita daripada belakang. And remember, kenapa orang support kita daripada belakang? It's because kita lovable. And yang kelima, bersyukur. Be thankful. Sikit pun kita thankful, banyak pun kita thankful. Alhamdulillah, mujurlah. Saya setakat ni orang lain lagi teruk. So cubalah jangan mendongak ke atas sentiasa. Look down. Look down to those who are unfortunate daripada kita. So kalau kita ada that kind of feelings, insyaAllah semangat akan sentiasa datang pada kita. And last kali, achieve success on your own terms. Kejayaan ni tak sama. Mungkin ada setengah orang dia kata, oh dia dapat 1 juta tu dah berjaya. Tapi kita ada 1,000 dalam account, happy sebab tak kerja ada. Ada 1,000 is something that very happy for us. So make sure don't compare yourself with others. So you achieve success on your own terms. Okay, so with that, I think dengan ada 6 entrepreneur spirit tu tadi, 6 P's tu tadi, dengan you boost dengan dalam diri you what you have another 6 entrepreneur spirit, I think semangat kita dalam apa kata, dalam apa keadaan sekalipun akan sentiasa boleh. Okay, next slide. Okay, so tadi kita tengok what is entrepreneurial spirit. Apa sebenarnya entrepreneurial spirit itu dan bagaimana untuk kita develop dan boostkan spirit kita. Sekarang let's relate. Let's relate entrepreneurial spirit with COVID-19 impact to business and individuals. Yes, everybody knows COVID-19 ni will affect our economy, our physical and mental well-being. Bukan saja kita orang tua ni. Saya, ya Allah, ya Tuhanku, rambutku sudah putih sekerat apa? Dekat kepala dah. Tak boleh nak pergi salon tu is actually something yang very stressful for me. Proud Roslina, what do you think? Tak boleh nak pergi spa. Oh my God.
Betul, setuju tu. Kena berjalan kat rumah je.
Ada yang Arhan tak lagi gatih. Ada yang tak lagi zumba. And cucu saya duk menangis, tak boleh keluar pergi playground. So that is all impact from COVID-19. Tapi Alhamdulillah, macam mana kita sampai sekarang kita masih boleh bertahan. And happily, using a new technology, new way of meeting people. So let's look at on what are actually businesses and individuals that highly impact with this COVID-19 phenomena. Okay, next slide, Fendi. Okay, so ini adalah antara yang saya dapati berdasarkan kepada pembacaan lah. Mungkin rakan-rakan semua boleh lihat lagi banyak lagi sebenarnya syarikat-syarikat, individu-individu yang highly impacted due to COVID-19. That's why dia kata after this, post-COVID-19 will be new normal. The business have to run differently. Because sekarang ni kita tengok dalam keadaan berapa bulan, kita rasa dekat 3 bulan ni, kalau kata daripada bulan 12 lah, dah banyak bulan. So most of the businesses that impacted is tourism. Hotels, airlines, restaurants, spa and salon. Tak ada orang dah pergi basuh rambut, tak ada dah orang nak pergi buat facial. So it's highly memberi kesan kepada syarikat-syarikat seperti ini. Wedding, for example, banyak yang dah kena cancel. So photographer, wedding planner got to stop their business. Oil and gas, retailing, malls pun tak ada orang nak pergi, tak boleh nak pergi dah because of social distance dan sebagainya. And then kindergarten, and then there are many more that may be fully impacted, and some of it is also partially impacted. Dan individual semacam kita ni, orang yang makan gaji pun sebenarnya affected juga. Freelancer yang kerja solopreneur, yang kalau tak kerja tak ada gaji, kena cari projek dan sebagainya. Private sector employee, kadang-kadang ada yang private sector tak terima gaji walaupun tak kena retrench, tapi gaji tak terima untuk tempoh COVID-19 ni. Ada yang kena potong 30% dan sebagainya. So they are highly impacted because they are also having commitments with the salary that they earn. Fisherman, nelayan tak boleh pergi ke laut. Agriculturist, penoreh getah ke, sama ada pekebun-pekebun ke, tak boleh nak berkebun. Dan investor, sekarang ni saham-saham merundum bagai nak rak, especially share price, property, dan also impact the investors. Okay, walau bagaimanapun, kalau kita tengok ada yang highly impacted, tapi ada business yang highly growth. Ada yang bisnes yang dulunya 100,000 aja sebulan they earn, tapi dengan COVID-19 ni mencecah 500,000. Ada yang sampai 1 juta. Jadi meaning that there are certain situation that benefits others even though it's disadvantage to the others. So contohnya bisnes yang e-commerce, bisnes online. Banyak kita tengok sekarang food going online dan sebagainya. E-commerce is starting to gain more compared to before COVID-19 dengan during COVID-19. And I think post COVID-19 pun people are going for e-commerce rather than a normal bricks and mortars business. Online entertainment, Netflix increased 86% in terms of subscribers. So kalau kat rumah sekarang ni bergaduh suami isteri, hak tu nak main game, hak tu nak tengok Netflix, TV ada saja. So mungkin akan beli TV satu lagi kalau COVID-19 ni being extended because of kalau tak tengok Netflix, mungkin kita tak tahu nak buat apalah for some of the people lah. Macam kita ni, ya Allah, ya Tuhan, aku kerja punya lah banyak. Walaupun COVID-19 seolah-olah macam pergi kerja juga. But this is actually the high growth business when this phenomena comes in. Okay, online education. So kemungkinan online education for post COVID will continue. Lagi ramai student kita boleh ambil sebenarnya with online education. Because kita tak perlukan banyak sangat facilities dan sebagainya except for just the online facilities. And teleconferencing related industry. Teleconferencing related industry ni saya rasa all the gadget will be bought over. Macam kita sekarang ni dah bertambah macam-macam gadget untuk teleconferencing. Tak perlu lagi lah kita ke KL untuk meeting 2 jam. This teleconferencing ni kita akan enhancekan, dan selepas post COVID it will be like a normal things for us. And high growth business also is convenience store. Seems like a small convenience store like kedai runcit Pak Cik Mat kat tepi rumah saya ni habis semua bawang gula. Orang would rather go to convenience store as compared to going to supermarket. So small business will be mushrooming as compared to a big gigantic business. So malls kemungkinan akan being reduced dan akan menambahkan lagi bilangan-bilangan stall yang kecil-kecil sebab their business now does not focus very much on brick and mortars tapi more on online business. On the individual parts, government servant seems to be in a high growth, dah makin hari makin mengembang. Growth dari segi weight, growth weight. Kalau mula-mula COVID-19 tu 55 kg, seminggu, 2 minggu jadi 60, bahasanya habis MCO ni jadi 65 kg lah kita semua. So, but anyway, since the government servant is the most secured employment, so alhamdulillah impact dia tak berapa besar lah kepada government servant, but still the job as much as before the COVID-19. Coach and trainers. So sekarang ni kita tengok banyak online trainers. Even Zumba pun bayar RM8. Buat Zumba online. Wah, very interesting. Tak payah pergi, start kereta, kita buat kat rumah je. As good, as berpeluh, as fun as when you are in the studio. And then computer expert sekarang ni laku. Ramai orang start hire untuk buat online website, untuk going for social media punya teknologi dan sebagainya. And then last one is gold investor. Okay, saya dah nampak gold is increasing. Ramai yang dah start jual and turun sikit dah start beli. So I think investors in gold is one of the investment yang bagus lah during this COVID-19. So ini adalah secara general lah. Kemungkinan ada idea-idea lain daripada tuan-tuan, puan-puan dan juga anak-anak sekalian. You can see that dalam COVID-19 scenario ni ada yang impacted, ada yang even benefited. Okay, but of course we got no choice. Those who are impacted have to think of changing, think of something. How can you do something different from what you have done before? So that is things that we learn from this COVID-19. Okay, so next. Okay, so how to remake the entrepreneurial spirit in the wake of COVID-19? Okay, so this is the idea that I think even though we have this phenomena, we have to think of bagaimana untuk kita overcome. Okay, macam mana kita nak overcome? Okay, go to the next one. Andy? Alright, so ini adalah yang saya lihatlah kita sepatutnya jangan fikirkan ini adalah satu obstacle. Okay, sebab dah banyak obstacle. Macam kita tak terasa sangatlah kalau yang makan gaji ataupun yang having continuous income. Tapi untuk business people, this is not the only obstacle. In fact, sebelum COVID-19 pun sebenarnya business is not doing as good as it was before. Before COVID-19 kita dah ada apa dipanggil economic war between US and China, and the currency is actually affected. And in fact, our inflation is also at that time is not as good as it used to be. So obstacle is nothing for business. So don't look whatever happened as obstacle. Look at it as opportunity. So kalau kita perlu tukarkan kita punya business model, kalau kita perlu tukarkan cara kita run our business, then we have to. So focus on opportunity rather than obstacle. And remember, for COVID-19 alone, everybody face the same thing. Everybody is in the same shoes with you. So kalau kita kata orang lain pun menghadapi masalah yang sama macam kita, jadi sekurang-kurangnya sejuk hati kita tak adalah rasa down and so on. Okay, kalau down pun down sekejap lah. Saya ada beberapa usahawan yang kata, Prof, kerja tak ada income bulan ni tapi nak kena juga bayar gaji. Saya ada 10 orang pekerja. Gaji kena bayar, kalau tak bayar kesian lah pula dia. But you have to remember orang lain pun punya masalah yang sama juga. So when you think that you are not alone, others are also in the same shoes with you. So sekurang-kurangnya the spirit still there in your heart. Okay? So how do you think that we as entrepreneurs or we as an individual should overcome or feel good about ourselves even though dalam keadaan COVID-19 fenomena ni? This is actually one idea that I think we should have. Tetapi sebenarnya secara tidak langsung kita sudah nampak ada yang kita panggil entrepreneurs community. So kalau kita tengok sekarang, because of COVID-19, there's a lot of people having a lot of innovation. Suddenly UMK come up with so many innovation. Suddenly there are so many philanthropies. Suddenly there are so many people who are actually giving free knowledge, free training, even though they are trainers, giving free trainers, free motivation to help each other. So that's why saya rasa mungkin selepas post-COVID ni nanti kita kena start build a community of entrepreneurs who can lean on each other, learn from each other, and let one another know that while they may feel as though they are facing the world alone, their experience is shared, and in some way their burden is my burden as well. So that's why kalau kita tengok sekarang ada persatuan-persatuan usahawan kuat lah, orang kuat ada kat sini hari ni, persatuan usahawan wanita Kelantan, persatuan usahawan wanita MITI, macam-macam. So we have to strengthen that community supaya ada orang yang mungkin more advantage towards the others can help each other. So mungkin juga dengan adanya community seperti ini ada angel investors that are helping businesses. Sebab sekarang ni kita nampak kalau nak tolong orang yang asnaf ataupun yang terpinggir ramai, tapi untuk tolong usahawan sendiri tu masih belum terserlah lah. Mungkin ada, mungkin Abid Liu, kita tahu seorang philanthropist yang quite famous lah dalam keadaan COVID ni, can also come to the entrepreneurs who need help sebagai angel investors ke, ataupun mungkin sebagai shareholders ke, because sekarang ni kita tak boleh kerja in isolation. We need to remember that we are in blue ocean. So that means we have to collaborate in whatever way. Jangan tamak satu kek tu, we can share with many. Kalau you nak satu kek with yourself, then you go alone and it's very slow. So that's why ada pepatah kata, if you want to go far, you go alone. If you want to go far, you go together. If you want to go fast, you go alone. Mana-manalah, okay? So that means what I'm trying to say is that dalam keadaan ini mungkin satu fenomena baru yang kita boleh adakan satu community entrepreneurs that should help each other and learn on each other's shoulders. Okay? Okay, so next. Fendi? Okay. Alright. So the learning curve from the COVID-19. Okay, apa yang kita sebenarnya belajar daripada apa yang berlaku? It's time for reflection and introspection. So saya rasa apa yang berlaku from awal-awal lagi kita tahu is aturan Allah, dan Allah nakkan kita untuk melihat apa sebenarnya yang berada belakangnya yang perlu kita belajar. So let's look at on the learning curve from the COVID-19. This is actually the point of my own thoughts lah. Okay, so maybe if we have some other opinions, we can add on. Fendi, next slide. Okay. So this is some learning curve that I think we should learn from this COVID-19. One is importance of risk management. Okay. Sama macam Tuan Norizan, hari tu kita ada bersama-sama Tuan Norizan, dia did mention kita ni sebenarnya kurang dari segi managing our risk. We are not hedging the risk against whatever circumstances that may happen. So bila berlakunya COVID-19 ni, mungkin kita sudah terfikir, okay, we have to start thinking of how to manage our risk. Again, ramai di antara kita usahawan ke ataupun individu ke tak ada saving yang cukup. Kalau katalah COVID-19 ni berpanjangan sampai setengah tahun, 6 bulan, saya rasa ramai yang kelaparan dan kebuluran, tak mampu untuk membeli makanan pun sebab simpanan tak ada, because you don't have any buffer if this kind of risk comes to you. So that's why risk management tu is very important. So kalau kita sebagai seorang individu, paling kurang lah 6 bulan gaji tu kena ada dalam saving. Jadi kita tak ada risau kalau berlaku something like this, we still have savings for us to cover whatever happened to us. Okay, so sama juga macam business. Business ni boleh project, dapat collection, roll 100%. Dapat roll 100%. Apalah salahnya kalau you create reserve? At least 25% or even as minimum as 10%, put it as reserve sebagai your risk management. So this is actually you need to use when there's a rainy days like this. Okay, so selepas ni what we learn from this COVID-19, risk management is very important. Yang kedua, COVID-19 ni sebenarnya mengajar kita self-discipline. Rata-rata kalau kita tengok rakyat Malaysia ni disiplinnya Allahu Akbar. Orang kata tubik seorang, dia tubik dua orang. Orang kata tubik dua orang, dia tubik dengan anak-anak sekali lagi habis ke bazar Ramadan. So, I don't know. I think this is the time when we have to start thinking of discipline ourselves. Kalau kita kata kita kena beratur, jaraknya 10 kaki, then that is actually things yang mengajar sebenarnya. Dan ada dah orang yang dulunya kurang berdisiplin, sekarang dah jadi lebih berdisiplin. So, self-discipline is things that I think one of the apa yang dibelajar daripada COVID-19 ni lah. And yang ketiga yang paling penting sekali is media literacy. Sekarang ni semua orang dah belajar pasal macam mana nak guna social media, how we should use Facebook apps, IG live dan sebagainya. Tapi kena belajar jugalah untuk melihat informasi-informasi yang betul yang bukan fake. So media literacy ni bukan saja belajar cara nak gunakan media, tapi cara nak memilih informasi yang betul. So COVID-19 ni is actually teaching us to be more literate in our media. And also financial literacy. Sekarang people are asking, Prof, kalau kita ambil moratorium ni better than kita simpan PT kita, lepas tu habis moratorium ni kita bayar semua ke ataupun kita continue bayar seperti biasa? So my answer, kalau tidak ada any surcharge or any hidden interest, you better don't pay, take the moratorium, save your money aside. When it come, janganlah kalau katalah you tak ada masalah keuangan, you have still enough money to pay, but you don't have to pay because you want to take the advantage of moratorium, fine. But you still have to keep the money, and then bila habis 6 bulan, you dah kumpulkan bayaran yang you sepatutnya bayar 6 bulan tu, you bayar sekaligus, is actually benefit more. Okay, melainkan jika isu yang keluar baru-baru ni yang mengatakan bank masih nak charge ada hidden interest tu, itu rugilah. Tapi kalau tak ada, is take the advantage that the government gives. Tapi simpan duit yang ada tu and pay it later. So financial literacy is also make people wants to know more. Because of this COVID-19, people dah start tengok investment mana yang bagus, cara pinjaman ataupun simpanan yang mana yang bagus. So that is good. And then COVID-19 juga adalah satu situasi di mana property has price adjustment. Kadang-kadang orang kata harga rumah ni melambung-lambung, is beyond the market price. Now, developer, there are nobody wants to buy a house because of this scenario. So mungkin insyaAllah the efficient market hypothesis comes in, insyaAllah the price will be adjusted towards the real market price, or even mungkinlah the real fundamental price that the property should be. And about time management. So sekarang ni saya ada kawan seorang doktor, dia kata dia buka klinik tapi dia ambil appointment. Kalau dulu kita pergi klinik, ambil appointment wayak pukul 9 sekalipun pukul 10 belum tentu kita dapat masuk. But this time kita dah lebih advance macam in the West, the time management, punctuality. So meaning that mungkin after post-COVID sekalipun, this type of new normal will be continue. Which means if people wants to go anywhere, make appointment, kalau at 9, be there at 9 o'clock. So tak perlu ada ramai-ramai cluster dalam klinik ataupun bank dan sebagainya. So I think the learning curve for COVID-19 is about time management, is about punctuality. And finally, is also give us something to learn that life is simple. Live a simple life. Bawa ada bag branded pun tak tahu nak buat gimana. Make-up pakai lecu-lecu, comel-comel, gomaha pun inilah dia. Meaning that you have money, if you don't have opportunity, you may not be able to use that. Whatever luxury that you've got. So live a simple life. So this is the learning curve that I've seen. So maybe ada rakan-rakan yang mungkin boleh melihat lagi apa sebenarnya yang kita boleh belajar dengan COVID-19 ni. Come and share with everybody and share with me. Okay, so next, Fendi. Okay, this is about the end of it. Okay, so what will the post-COVID new normal look like? Ini yang kita duk cerita pasal new normal ni kan. What is actually, do you think that after the COVID-19 is our life like what we are having now, we continue or we go back to old normal way of life? So according to many experts, ini saya petik daripada Steve Brown, author of the Innovation Ultimatum. Dia kata new normal after post-COVID ni menyebabkan kita lebih teratur dari segi buying and especially buying and selling food dan sebagainya lah. Maksudnya kalau dulu kita tak ada stok, every time nak makan apa, okey pergi beli, nak goreng mi, okey hari ni goreng mi, beli sayur goreng, besok pergi pula. Jadi kita macam tidak ada satu peraturan dalam kita punya everyday life. So according to Steve Brown, dia kata pantries will be kept stock. So sekarang ni kita akan sentiasa make sure that kita ada barang untuk kita masak. So kemungkinan besar mungkin ini on the west dia kurang sikit lah kalau makan kat luar tu. I think it's more, they are more cook at home rather than makan kat luar. So in this case for them, pantries will be kept stock just in case something like COVID-19 happen again, so at least they dah prepared. Saving rates will increase, so people may save more after this untuk risk management purposes. Okay, so saya rasa itulah, that's the lesson learned. So people will save more, tak adalah kata berbelanja tak suka hati tanpa memikirkan nothing happen in the future, so they will be save more. Consumers will ask more question about where product comes from, how safe food is to eat, and what it took to produce and ship goods to their home. Ini maknanya consumer lebih berhati-hati. Not just sembrono saja beli, not just sembrono saja order things without question more about the product. And business travel will drop, perhaps permanently. Tu Steve Brown kata, ni yang kita rasa macam some people rasa very dizzy sebab duduk dalam macam dalam gua je. So but this is the fact. Business travel will drop. So people will reduce their traveling. Okay? And digitization efforts will rapidly accelerate as the increased use of telehealth, online education, and home grocery shopping have ably illustrated. So meaning that everything will be digitalized. So true enough, fourth IR is actually coming in. So everything will be on digital, on technology. And furthermore, it may be, I'm not sure, this is Steve Brown kata ya, less globalization will happen and more regionalization will happen. So maknanya kita duduk dalam kukun kita dan kita kena strengthenkan kita punya regional. So being globalized as what it used to be, maybe inilah yang menyebabkan kita terlalu globalized lah yang menyebabkan berlakunya pandemik yang seumpamanya ni. Apa yang berlaku di luar sana punyalah jauh berjuta-juta batu, boleh rasa juga sampai ke tempat kita kerana globalization. So because of that, we may want to think of more regionalization rather than globalization. Okay, so that is new normal yang according to Steve Brown. Okay, so I think all of us also agree with what he says. So probably things may different as what we used to be in previously before COVID-19. So next, Wendy. Okay, okay. So ini kita touch sikit to entrepreneur sebab memang kita rasa this phenomena is actually more impacted to entrepreneur. So entrepreneur. So remember, entrepreneurship isn't a job. Entrepreneurship is a mindset. So you have to have always continuous improvement. You have to always remember, entrepreneur yang berjaya tu adalah sentiasa fluctuate in terms of dia punya whatever living income dan sebagainya. Tak seperti mana orang yang makan gaji straight aja, kalau naik pun naik alah sikit-sikit aja. But entrepreneurs is how you develop your mindset to get more. That is where you aim for more, vice versa. Okay, next. Okay, so ni just a little bit about bila kita bercakap pasal entrepreneur spirit tu, kita kena tahulah entrepreneurs, are you born or are you learned entrepreneurs? So ada setengah orang kata macam leader lah. Leader ni born ke ataupun taught leader. So sama juga. Some people are born to be entrepreneurs. Ada yang memang dia punya adrenaline dia tu memang dah entrepreneur dalam badan dia. Tu alhamdulillah. Dia ada natural entrepreneurial knack dia panggil. Tapi still entrepreneur skill can be learned and honed over a period of time. So maknanya experiential learning. So that's why kita tengok ada orang yang tak ada degree pun boleh jadi usahawan yang berjaya sebab dia belajar melalui street, dia panggil street smart. Kat Kelantan ni kalau yang famous tu macam SBJ tu, Datuk Tan tu, baca pun tak reti. Belajar sampai terjanam aja tapi kaya raya, just because he learned from his experience. Business is through his experience. So entrepreneurial skill can be learned and honed over a period of time. And how can entrepreneurial skills and characteristics can be learned? Like I said just now, you have to have passion. You need to be passionate, enthusiastic. Bila kita buat apa-apa tu biar bersungguh-sungguh gak. Jangan buat lambat lotek, you know. So buat dengan bersungguh-sungguh. Have the passion. You must be passionate. You have to have enthusiastic. You have to have enthusiasm. You must have direction. You must have positive attitude. You must have people around you. Remember. So that's why it's good if you can come to UMK and join us and be part of us so that we can, kalau tak boleh nak tolong dari segi more than giving you business, tapi boleh bagi you more on motivation sekurang-kurangnya. So that is how important people are for us as an entrepreneur. Mesti ada perseverance and be productive. Okay, and that one I have touched just now. And then ini pun sama jugalah, entrepreneur tu kena ada critical mindset, positive thinking, be innovative. Ada orang tanya saya, macam mana nak jadi inovatif ni Prof? Saya pun dah terfikir-fikir juga. So saya nampak kan, inovatif ni mudah aja. Ada 3 perkara saja for people to be innovative. Pertama, banyak membaca. You have to read a lot. Because from reading, you can grab, oh lagu ni dia buat deh. So from reading, you should be able to grab idea orang lain and try to improvise to what you want to do. Yang kedua, bercakap. Jangan, that's why kalau boleh seorang entrepreneur ni, kalau you are introvert, try to change and be more extrovert. Sosialkan diri kita dengan orang ramai supaya bila kita bercakap, kadang-kadang kita dapat idea daripada orang yang bercakap tersebut. I mean, you know, the conversation can give you some ideas. And the third one, of course, education. Training yang macam ni, training. I think there's a lot. There are so many people get income. Banyak orang yang dapat duit daripada giving training to entrepreneur. Dia sendirinya jadi entrepreneur belum tentu lagi boleh kaya raya. Tapi dia boleh bagi advice kepada entrepreneur. So some people ada kelebihan masing-masing. So 3 things in order for you to be innovative. Baca buku, go and socialize, talk to people, and educate yourself. Charge battery sikit. Jangan sentiasa ingatkan bisnes kita ni tak akan berubah. So you get to know new things. Okay? So there's a lot of training platform for you. Sekarang ni online dah banyak. Okay? Join the online. And standing up for what you believe. Apalah orang cakap sekalipun, kalau tu negatif tak usah ambil lah. Don't bug your head with something unnecessary. So you have to believe in yourself. If you think that is right, kadang-kadang orang kata sixth sense tu sebenarnya melebihi apa yang your brain thinks. Ada setengah orang cakap, you must believe your heart rather than your head. I don't know. Tapi ada orang kata it's true that your sixth sense will give you, ataupun your intuition will be able to give you a good decision as compared to a rational decision. Okay, so you know better. Some of you ada banyak pengalaman. So this is just some of the dia panggil pengisian untuk motivation aja lah. I think this one is nothing new for you all. So you know well, cuma untuk ingat-mengingati antara sama lain sahaja. Okay, so next, before I go to question, next slide, Fendi. Last one, okay, yang ini biasalah. What is entrepreneur, self-confident, fearless. Mana student-student, make sure nak jadi entrepreneur kena yakin diri. Jangan orang suruh buat challenge untuk marketing, challenge video pun hai tak nak masuk sebab malu. Macam mana nak jadi entrepreneur? Fearless, jangan takut. Kreatif, bold. Kadang-kadang you have to speak your mind. And risk taker. So this is characteristics of an entrepreneur. Okay, so next. Ready? Okay, this is for conclusion, okay? Alright, so before I go to conclusion, can I see question? Ada soalan ke? Okay, Prof. Rosina ada soalan. New normal, our way of living, ways of doing works. Okay, ini Prof. Ros punya point. Prof. Ros, mungkin you want to share your point of view on the new normal?
Assalamualaikum Prof. Nick. Okay, Dayali. Bukan saja je boleh to share. But I think the bottom line we have, bila berkata tentang new normals ni, do you think that all whatever the SOPs that we have, okay, it has to be aligned as well. So sekarang ni I think we have to prepare and be more proactive towards that lah. Tu je nak komen sikit.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Okay, Azam ada soalan daripada Facebook? Okay, kalau tak ada soalan, the conclusion, okay? If we want to conclude, how are we supposed to boost our entrepreneurial spirit is, first of all, we have to accept the fact. And whatever risk that we are facing, that's the fact. So take the risk. Sama ada kita usahawan ke, sama ada kita leader ke, saya nampak Prof. Azizi kat situ, takut aku tengok bos ada dua-dua. Okay. Mungkin Prof berdua, Dato' ada soalan. Alright, but for me to conclude is that if we want to have that kind of semangat keusahawanan ni, pertama sekali kita tak gentar dengan apa-apa risiko yang datang. So we have to be able to take risk. So sekarang kalau katalah kita perlu going into digital economy or digital platform for the education, we have to. If we have to invest, then we have to invest. And then we have to explore our passion. We have to explore our passion. So meaning that kita kena suka dah lah. Baru ni bos kata ada yang tak suka untuk going online teaching and so on. Tak boleh, no choice. We have to accept the fact that we have to change. We have to take the challenge. We have to accept and we have to put our love towards what we have to do next. So explore your passion. So that is what I think, things that we have to do in order to boost our entrepreneurial spirit. We have to explore our passion. So passion is actually coming from our head, right? Nobody can push you, but you have to push yourself. And we have to start innovate and invent. There are so many things. Sekarang ni, so many things yang bila kita pergi kursus tu, ada kursus Padlet lah, apa macam-macam. Saya pun orang yang baby boomers ni, baby boomer adalah jadinya, pun pening kepala nak guna all this gadget-gadget. But still we have no choice. So we have to start innovate our teaching and learning, innovate our business model and so on. So this is things that we have to do. So kalau kita tak pandai, kalau kita tak boleh nak do it ourselves, get into a gang. Okay, that's why tadi we are not alone. We have to have a groups that we can lean on. So build a community of entrepreneurs. So form an entrepreneurship community is actually something is important now. So we have to be in blue ocean strategy. We are already in blue ocean strategy, but now we have to be more into it. So sekarang people are talking about white ocean strategy. Not just collaborate, but also sharing. So sekarang ni knowledge ni sebenarnya is not in you saja. You pop aja keluar, you share aja, cepat aja orang imitate. Sebab sekarang ni information dah tak ada boundaries. So it's better for you to collaborate rather than orang ciplak you punya idea. So when you form an entrepreneurship community, you should be able to take advantage of each other, and who knows, there are someone who can be your angel investors to work together with you and be part of your business. And finally, we have to learn and relearn. So meaning that we have to accept that the old one may not be suitable anymore in the future, and we have to start learn new things that more relevant to the new environment in the future. So that's from me today on motivation, I could say, on how should we boost our entrepreneurial spirit so that we can accept the fact that the phenomena is not just a challenge, but an opportunity for us to go different and better in the future. So thank you very much. Any question? Just nice pukul 3.
Kepada yang ingin bertanyakan soalan, boleh bertanya kepada Prof. Terima kasih.
Jadi kalau tak ada, maybe we can call off and say thank you.
Terima kasih, dan sekian saja sharing session dari Prof ni. Pihak Urustia amat berpuas hati dan berterima kasih terhadap sharing session yang penuh bermanfaat pada petang ini. Sekali lagi pihak kami mengucap ribuan terima kasih kepada Prof dan semua staff UMK yang turut sama mendengar sharing session ini. Terima kasih banyak-banyak Prof.
Terima kasih Fendi, terima kasih kepada pihak pendaftar kerana menjemput, dan terima kasih kepada semua. Prof, thank you. Prof Roslina, thank you everybody. So jumpa lagi. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.